Okay, hello everybody and welcome. Today we are talking about some travel inspiration. We want to get you guys excited for traveling in 2024 by talking about some recent experiences that myself have gone on and our guest Natalie from G Adventures has gone on. So we are going to dive right in and kick it off with a little bit of introduction into me. I'm sure most of you know who I am, but if not, I am a nomad. I've been traveling now for over 3 years. I grew up in the Midwest. I last lived in Phoenix, and in the past 3 years, I've traveled all around the US, Mexico, Europe, and South America, and I've visited 32 countries to date. So earlier this year, I became a travel coach and learned how to sell travel and get all the connections to selling travel. And I started offering group trips and itinerary planning. So really excited to do this because you guys have asked for it. You want to know, like, when can I travel with you? So really pumped to now offer this and share all about my journeys on my blog and social media. And here we have cooking mole in Oaxaca and me Dead Woman's Pass. Luckily, it was no, it was ironic, luckily it wasn't real in Peru. So excited to dive in. And what are we talking about today? Who is best suited for this information? So this is for you guys who are interested in solo travel, in a group, or joining up with your friends or your partner to an established itinerary or group trip. And you're curious about what to expect specifically about these countries or itineraries, or you have questions about what it's like to sort of travel either with me or with G Adventures or travel with a group, period. So let's start with Oaxaca. And because a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth like an entire book. So I want to play this video. I don't know if you've seen it, but crickets.
Did you eat a cricket?
Okay. I apologize if the sound was wonky, but hopefully that gave you a taste of what it was like to experience Oaxaca. Was everybody able to catch that video? Did it look fun?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, absolutely incredible trip. I am still kind of coming down from the high, so I just decided in a couple days in that I was going to do this again next year because it was just life-changing. And I want anyone who wants to join me to come along and experience this amazing itinerary. So I wanted to sort of go over some of the things we did, some of the highlights, explain really what the meaning of this holiday and festival is. And it's really kind of a couple days between the 31st, when it turns into the 1st, and the 2nd of November, it's that the space between death and life. And it's sort of this like in between where the souls of the departed sort of come back and they come back to earth for a little bit and they visit with their loved ones. And that was really apparent with how they decorated everything with such passion and love and not grief, but honor and remembrance to sort of like think about those people that they've lost. And that was really, really meaningful to be a part of. But also it's a celebration and it's something that the Mexican people are really proud of. And it was so amazing to sort of be welcomed into that and be able to take part in that whole experience. So I wanted to just sort of like explain some of the things we did, because I've seen this itinerary and it doesn't really do it justice. So that's why I wanted to talk to you guys today to like fill in some of the color and some of those special moments, because you can read an itinerary and be like, that sounds nice, but like you don't know really what it is, like what it's all about. So I'll just kind of start, like we arrive in Oaxaca and meet with our tour guide, which we call the CEO, and really just kind of get the schedule for the week. And there's a different schedule for everybody because there's multiple groups from G Adventures in Oaxaca. And this is really important because, well, this trip is really important to G Adventures. It's really, really popular. National Geographic is involved. And they have like perfected this itinerary over several years. Actually, I don't really know how many years, but it is so on point. They must have been working on this one for a long time. So the schedule's a little bit subject to change because days switch around, but this is how it went for us. So the first full day, we go to Monte Alban, which is a archaeological site outside of Oaxaca. And I'll just say first, like what I love about Oaxaca is there's so much variety in activities, so many different like moments to experience the Mexican culture in different ways. So the fact that we can go into this like 500 BC archaeological zone and experience this like these massive pyramids and get a look back into time, I think is so cool. This was discovered just a few centuries ago. So Monte Alban is just incredible and breathtaking. And everybody who went said, like, I was not expecting it to be this massive. So it's really something to see. And then we had some free time in the afternoon and walked around the city, which is completely done up in all these different ways. So colorful, so beautiful, and a sight to behold. So the next day, we went to Herv el Agua, which means boil the water. And surprisingly, this water is not hot. It's kind of chilly. It's a mineral water that has been formed over like thousands of years from like calcified. The calcium in the water creates these like, really cool designs in the pools. So it's like this natural formation that's really amazing to experience, beautiful pictures, especially when it's sunny. And we got to visit here, hang out for a few hours, go on a hike. And then we went to another site called Mitla, which you saw a little bit in that video, which is another archaeological site, but completely different because it's all geometric and the designs are totally different from the Zapotecs. So after that, then we went to a mezcal factory and learned how they make the mezcal. We got to try several different kinds of mezcal and just learn how they make it. So we kind of saw what they do with the piñas, which is the heart of the agave. We got to run around the agave fields and just take a bunch of photos and have a lot of fun, and enjoyed our visit there. So we had a free night when we got back, kind of like roamed around in the evening, and really kind of just like came down from a really full day of all these awesome things. On the next day, this is October 31st, and we had a few hours free in the middle of the day, but first we walked around the market. We experienced some special places in the center and learned a little bit about some of the Day of the Dead traditions. And then we had a break where we all kind of rested because it was a lot. And in the evening, we went to visit these cemeteries. And the first cemetery was kind of quiet. People were just sort of setting up. But then we went to this next cemetery, which was just completely packed. All these people were there sort of like sitting with their loved ones, almost having conversations with them. Everything was all lit up. People were sharing mezcal. People wanted to talk about their family members. And then there was a band just like giving New Orleans vibes playing. People were dancing. It was this kind of like festive but meaningful experience that was just kind of a wondrous thing to be a part of. And really, this kind of blew me away because I wasn't really expecting anything like this. And I also wasn't expecting people to be just so interested in talking to us and welcoming us into this whole experience. So that was really cool. It was not in town. It was a ways away. So we did take our vehicle there. And then the following day, which is November 1st. Now this is my example of what I was saying earlier. There's a tiny little paragraph in this itinerary, but what happened that day was just like beyond anything I've ever experienced in my entire life. So we did our makeup. We had people come to the hotel actually, which our CEO arranged, made it so convenient to us. So we all kind of had people doing our makeup at the same time, and it was really festive and a fun, like kind of a, if I don't ever get married, then at least I have this, and we then like got on the coach car and went to this San Agustin Etla little village far away from Oaxaca. Maybe it was like half-hour drive, and it was crazy. Like we get there and there's these people in these wild outfits. I'm talking like the creepiest, weirdest outfits you've ever seen, costumes and things. The marching band is just going nuts. It's all this like frenetic, crazy music. Like that's the images you saw in that at the end of that video. And at first we're like, what's going on? This is really trippy. But then people are passing around mezcal. We had these little cups and we just like went with it. And in like that evening, I think I truly like understood what it meant, what immersive travel really meant, because it's a buzzword that's like thrown around, but we were all mixing together. We were all celebrating together. We were all like humans having this like universal experience. And I think at one point we all kind of looked at each other and were like, what are we like? What is this? This is the coolest thing. And like that's one of the highlights of my year, actually. Like that was such a crazy cool night. And I think everybody needs to experience this event because I'm just like still like over the moon about it. So the next day, after we slept and got to sober up a little bit, we got to take this mole cooking class, which was really cool because I mean I love cooking and I love eating. And so this was really exciting to kind of learn from this Mexican woman how this has been such a tradition for her entire life, for her families, like generation after generation. We also visited an artisan community to learn about weaving. So Oaxaca is known for textiles, and they have, rugs and clothing, and the artistry is just really, really amazing. Around the world, Oaxaca is known for textiles. So got to sort of see that weaving in action, how they process, how they dye the wool, how they create the rugs and the designs, and then of course, available for sale. So it was really cool to see that. And then the final thing that we did on this day was we got to paint our own alebrijes. And alebrijes are like the little like wooden animals that all have these interesting stories behind them. So we got to see just how incredible these artists are able to, make these animals, but then got to do it ourselves, which is something that, is a thing that we got to do that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. So the last day, I mean, this trip went by so fast. I would recommend to anybody who is wanting to come on this trip, like give yourself 2 days at the end, because one, there's a lot going on and you really want to capture more of these moments, because just the city is done up. There's so many amazing places to eat and there's so much to do. And so that's why I'm like, I need to come back to Oaxaca because I did not experience it all. And I'm excited for this. So if anybody has any questions in the chat, or put them in the chat, because I wanna answer. Did I eat a cricket? Natalie. I did actually.
You did.
I
How was it?
did. I had to, just to say I've done it. I mean, it all kind of takes on the flavor of whatever, little stuff you put on it. So, I don't know. There was one guy in our group, Ryan, he was just eating them like popcorn. It was almost like, I don't know. I'm like, you have a weird taste buds or something. He was just chowing down. So, the tastiest dish. I mean, if you haven't tried mole, I think everybody needs to try mole, because there's also like 100 different kinds, well, 10 plus different kinds of mole with different combinations of nuts and spices and things like that. So mole is delicious. And there's a place that I always go back to. It's called Belanc. It's last time I was in Oaxaca, not this time, but the time before that, I ate there 4 times. So Oaxaca's a super foodie city. And that's why I'm telling people, like, come early or stay late, because there are so many really good restaurants in Oaxaca, and you want to eat them all. Groundworm. Well, there are mezcal does have like this little, you can put some like spice that's made out of worm if you want, yeah, if you want it on your, like, on the rim of your glass. I mean, you could try anything once. So, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to like say to everybody, Oaxaca was amazing. I really hope I can get some of you to come with me next year and experience this, because I just had a I had just had a blast, and I decided in that moment I need to come back. So that's Oaxaca.
Oh, I love it. I want to go. Oaxaca's been on my bucket list for Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued.
It is well known for it, and I think it's a bucket list thing. Like, we have to go to some of these places where they have like their legendary, they're like their big thing. I mean, one,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy to be involved in that. There's crowds and stuff, but the crowds were not as bad as I thought, one. And then two, like, that's what they're known for. Like, you get to be a part of that. You get to be a part of something bigger. And then also it's cool to do it in a group, because then you all share those memories and those moments, and you create some lifelong friendships. So I'm really excited about that. Okay. And I think the last thing is, if there's anything that I would have changed about this trip, is adding on more time, and probably being better prepared clothing wise, because the weather did change halfway through and it got cold, and I was not set up for that. So I think we need to be mindful of this time of year and what that means. Okay. So I'm gonna ask Natalie to kind of chime in here. And Natalie is from G Adventures. She actually went on this exact same itinerary earlier this year, right? Like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And this is my next group trip. So I have more spots available. I'm trying to see if any of y'all are interested in joining me before we get all filled up. This trip is 9 days and 8 nights, and it's 2,199 and it's a Nat Geo itinerary, which means that it has upgraded accommodations and is a little bit more of a elevated experience beyond some of the other itineraries that G Adventures offers that are more affordable. So I will let Natalie dive in, and these are her photos.
Oh, okay. I will just point out. So the one, it's on my right. The one that kind of looks like these little like pools. Do you see that? So I'll talk about this when we're like rolling through the itinerary, but this is actually a tannery. So I'm like, this is how they dye all of the leather when you're in Morocco. I got the most stunning emerald green leather jacket on this tour from this tannery, but just cool experiences like that where you really get to see people do their craft. I know the last slide Julie had one of the images of somebody, making, I believe it was a pashmina, like a scarf, and they make rugs and things like that. So we got to see them like work that loom, and this was a tannery. So, I mean, the textures and the sights and the vibrant colors, I could spend so much more time than 9 days in Morocco, but yeah, I can just walk you through everything, but I just love that call out. Like that photo brings me back. I didn't
Yay.
love the smell, but when you walk into the tannery, this is just, I mean, they've been doing it for years. So mint is like one of the biggest crops in Morocco. You're always having mint tea and things like that. But when you walk into the tannery, there's somebody at the door that hands you like a bundle of mint. And that's how you just like can get through the smell, because obviously like they're cleaning the hides, they're dyeing the hides, but like that's where you go for the most buttery soft leather. Like it's all just done right there. Someone on the tour with us asked for a custom coat. We had the coat. I think we were there around like noon. And by 7 p.m. that same day, the coat was complete and like delivered to our hotel. I
Wow.
mean, this is like a well-oiled machine. But yeah, you walk in, you're like all in the leather, and then you're smelling the mint, and it was just such a cool experience. So yeah, I'll get into it in order though. So here we go. Um, Day one was Casablanca, just the starting point. So I definitely, just the way the itinerary rolls, you start in Casablanca and end in Marrakesh, just as far as the itinerary goes. So you can arrive at any time to Casablanca. If you get in early, there's a beautiful, the Hassan II Mosque that you can stop in, and do a tour of that, which is really cool. Just magnificent piece of history that just so humbling to be a part of. So that was the one takeaway from Casablanca. But this was the arrival day. So basically everyone kind of arrives at their leisure. And then we will have that moment where it's your welcome moment with your CEO, which again is what we call tour guides, that gives you the rundown of the itinerary and what we're going to do and what to expect. And Julie will be there too, just to walk you through everything. And then you can all go out for a group dinner. So Casablanca was fun, but just, scratching the surface. Day two, we went to Fez, which I loved. Fez was so stunning. And our CEO took us all through this Medina, which is basically a shopping, like a mecca of shopping. Like you are in these narrow alleys, like there's vendors everywhere. If you looked at it from a bird's eye view, it would look like just like a bunch of little corrals. Like it was so intricate, probably like thousands of stalls of any kind of things you could imagine. Whether you're just shopping for your family and picking up produce, or meat or anything like that, or if you need textiles or, spices, things like that. It was just sensory overload, but in the best way possible. Really like immerse yourself in the destination. And again, this is why you go in a group and like you really like lean into your CEO, because they're going to take you to all the best vendors while you're in there, and they're going to show you around. We were all saying this, if we went alone into that Medina, I don't know how we would have gotten out. Because once you enter in, it's like the door that you walked in, like closes behind you. You like are in a labyrinth. It's so amazing. And these vendors have been there for centuries, just doing this and like selling their family goods. So really cool experience in in Fez. And then one of the things that we did as well was we did a community lunch. These are all going to be part of a nonprofit organization that we work with called Planetera. So at this community lunch, we empowered women to basically to create a restaurant. So these women came and they cooked for us, and we gave them the opportunity that they maybe wouldn't have had without our support and help. So just a great call out for G Adventures, especially on this women's trip, is, we are supporting women in the community and trying to build them up. And I thought this was such a special moment. So then, yes, we have our day in Fez, which I talked about, the amazing Medina. And really you spend the whole day in there, and yeah, it's like a vortex. So you get in and you experience it all. You have an amazing lunch. But really
You wish you had brought a second suitcase for all the things you want to buy.
Do you know that how many people on the tour with us just bought a second suitcase while they were there?
I
It
bet.
was so funny. But yeah, it was just such a cool part of history to just see this structure that has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved Fez. The shopper in me was ecstatic. And then let's keep going to day 4. So day 4, so we're driving in our private vehicle from Fez all the way to Maruzuka. And this is a really cool opportunity. We got to stay in a UNESCO heritage site that was an old Casbah. And a Casbah is an old fortress. So this has been around for just years and years and years. And it was just so cool to be in a structure that you could tell had so much history. There was old artifacts on the wall, a really cool swimming pool and things like that to cool off after, a warm day in Morocco. So a great experience. And again, this historical flair that you really wouldn't see anywhere else. We're not always going to stay in a large hotel. We really want you to experience an immerse yourself in the destination. So that's why we're staying at places like the Casbah, just to have that flair and just, it's something that you'll never forget. I definitely had such a special experience there. And
Is it
yeah,
kind of like, is it kind of like glamping, Natalie?
it's not glamping at this one. It's like an old fortress. So think like adobe walls, creating like a royal family lived there. And then they broke it up into a hotel for this. So it was super cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see
And
any of the Barbary apes?
what?
Did you see any of the Barbary apes?
We didn't see any apes, but my eyes were peeled.
Next time.
Yes, of course. So day 5, this was really just such a cool experience. So we got to share mint tea with a Berber family. So as you can see this setup, this is basically what you have everywhere you go in Morocco are these nice glasses. They're always glass. And then this tea kettle, the way they pour this tea to have it cool off in the air, it was dripping 2 feet from the top of the spout to the glass. It was so cool. Like, I don't know how they had such precision. But this was really special because we got to go into this nomad community and we got to, sit in their camp with them and just talk to them about their experience and their way of life, and share tea with them. And it's always cool to break bread with someone from a different culture and get to share and learn. And it was so beautiful that no matter where you are in the world, like you can always come together over a meal or over a drink. It's just such a uniting force. And I really loved this. It was super intimate, just our group, and the nomads who lived there. So it was really sweet. And then from that, when we were like visiting the nomads, we were in a 4x4. So it was kind of like, think of it like an open air,
Buggy.
like a RAV4 almost. So like a little bit of a bigger vehicle. And they kind of drive you around all throughout the desert. We saw just camels in the wild. It was such a cool experience, patrol the Sahara. So yeah, lots of great photo ops and things like that.
Awesome.
Okay, day 6. So this was honestly one of the most fun days. We drove along this road and saw over 1,000 Casbahs. So as I said, those are going to be like old fortresses. So like royalty or, more lavish people would live in these like adobe structures. And a lot of them have been repurposed or upkept just to be a heritage site so people can see the history. So I thought that was super cool. Once we arrived, this town with the O, I think that we had a little riddle to remember how to say it. It's, oh, what is that? But you got to say it fast. So like, oh, what is that? You got to try and say it with me. It's like, oh, what is that? But you have to like roll your R in the middle.
Oh, what is, but do you like put the say it with the Z's? Ozaza?
No, it's like, what is that?
Oh, what is that?
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, they were just laughing at us and how we couldn't pronounce things and how like things don't translate once you cross borders. So, you'll definitely learn a lot.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
Um,
excited.
yeah, it was so cool. So this was super fun. Yeah, just the history and just getting to drive through everything. Um, so I will say where we stayed at this Berber palace, they were filming The Gladiators nearby, like the new movie. So at this hotel we stayed at, I was just sipping my tea in the courtyard, and Denzel Washington walked past me to go to the gym at the hotel, and I'm over here like in my PJs with my like coffee, just having a quiet morning, and he's like walking through like Rocky, going to the gym, and I was floored. For
Oh my
those of you
gosh.
who don't know, I live in LA. So the fact that I left LA and went to Morocco and saw Denzel Washington was just such an experience. So again, you really just don't know what you're gonna get. And like, yeah, when you travel, like the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Denzel, I had such a crush on him.
I know. I mean, who doesn't? Hi, Denzel. And then day 7. So this is a day where you're traveling to Marrakesh, and this is where you end the tour. So along the way, you stop and visit a UNESCO heritage site. This also, we visited a women's weaving Planetara project that we have. So we got to meet these women who make these beautiful textiles, whether they were rugs for prayers or homes, and they actually like ship them all over the world too. So again, another way where we're connecting and empowering women in foreign countries to, be able to support themselves on their own. So I think that's a really special call out. Again, with a women's trip, it's just all about empowerment and building each other up. So this was such a wonderful stop. I loved it. I actually bought a rug from a woman named Fatima, and she was so sweet. We were like walking around, and she was just showing me all the rugs, and there was a language barrier, so we couldn't really communicate. But I picked out this rug that I liked, and that at the end of the day, or my experience with her, I was trying to say, so who made this? Who made this rug? And she looked at me like had a tear in her eye, and she said, I made it. She said, Fatima. And she wasn't even gonna tell me that the rug that I picked out was hers. She just was so humble, and like they don't like to brag or anything like that. So just that special moment for her to call, like for me to ask her,
Well, she
and her
probably
to
felt
be
like
able to,
honored that you
yeah, for her
recognized.
to be able
Yeah.
to like use her voice and be like, I did that, was really special. So again, it's just these moments of connection that just doesn't really happen everywhere else. And I can't wait for you to go to Morocco.
I'm so excited.
And then the last day, we ended with a cooking class in Marrakesh, and it was so fun. So the meal that you're going to eat all the time is called tahine, and you can see this little clay triangle in this image. So that's going to be a clay triangle in a clay basin, and so it'll be typically either like meat or vegetables, depending on your dietary preferences. And then usually some sort of like stew is like cooked in that. But lots of like prunes or currants or anything like that. And then, yeah, like sweet potatoes, any kind of like starches as well. And it all just bakes in this beautiful clay pots. So we all got to make our very own tahine for the group. And so you can see kind of in this photo, all the spices and stuff like that. So you get the chicken, and we were dressing the chicken and mixing the spices, and we did all the appetizers. I think we made a version of like baba ganoush and stuff like that. So really fun to get your hands, get your hands involved and have a little fun with a cooking class, especially because this is on the last day. So you've had like the tahine of every region that you visit, and then you get to end it with like a cooking class and really know the labor of love that goes into it. So I love this. I'm also a sucker for cooking classes. So this is a really special way to end the trip.
So did you love the food in Morocco?
I did, honestly, but
Like
I'm
super
such
flavorful,
like
yeah.
yeah, I'm such a like, I love like a vegetable and like a stewed comfort food, and that's really what it was. I will say that they go all out. Like everywhere we went to eat, there was like fresh bread that they would make. They would have olives, they would have like a some sort of tamponade,
Mm,
like almost like a pico de gallo situation too. So it was like all these little dips and fresh made bread, and that was just everywhere you went just to greet you. And then
yeah.
typically it would be like tahine or like skewers, kebabs, things like that. Very like Mediterranean influence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then every meal you ended with mint tea, which was just so nice and just like calm the stomach.
And tell me what you were telling, tell everybody what you were telling me earlier about getting coffee, because I'm a coffee person.
Oh my gosh. Well, me and everybody on my tour, we're such coffee people. We're like, we need that like afternoon cup of coffee. And our tour guide knew this. So one of the days we were driving through the Atlas Mountains to get to our next destination. And we were all like, okay, we're ready for a little coffee. I know we're in the middle of nowhere. And our tour guide pulled over like to this little small hole in the wall coffee shop in the middle of the Atlas Mountains and like got like we all lined up and he was like he got to tell put all our orders in to the coffee person who was like making our coffees, and they don't do cappuccinos. It's normally just like espresso and that's it. So he was able to like explain in his language to get us like cappuccinos or lattes or things like that. And it was just so special because he really knew all of our coffee orders at the end of it. He knew
Yeah.
what we liked. And it was such a, I don't know, such a benefit to just have somebody who like broke down the language and could communicate. Even when we were shopping in the Medina, he would barter for us. There was just so many pluses of having somebody who is from Morocco, to really be on our side. And he also got to know us all. So he knew like, oh, like maybe we'll make this extra pit stop because I know so-and-so is interested in this. So, or maybe we won't spend that much time in this destination because we've already done a few Casbahs and they might be more interested in this. So there
Yeah.
is that moment where
Flexible.
like, yeah. So it's like, let's call an audible and kind of pivot to what the group wants.
And I obviously a famous solo traveler here. I've been doing it for a long time, but there's a lot of things about group trips that are just like, one, I don't have to think, I don't have to like use all my like senses to figure things out and like try to translate and try to like navigate, and I can actually just enjoy a trip, which
Yeah.
is is so underrated. I can actually just be like, I'm on this trip and I'm like just here to enjoy life. And being able to kind of shut off in that way and just have fun is
Mhm.
super rewarding. Then you get to do all these things that I would not find, even if I was trying my hardest, even if I was speaking a language, even if I was coming in and trying to be all like, savvy and stuff. I still wouldn't be able to find things that these locals could
No.
find. So you get this, this experience that you wouldn't otherwise get. And then like the final piece I love is just like being able to share it with other people and like having those moments, especially on this trip with a bunch of women, to be like, we're in this together. We are, all like building these memories and relationships and bonds and stuff, which I think is going to be like just super special.
So
Did you
special. And again, all the community components.
So we have a question, is it expensive in Morocco?
I, you know, it kind of like runs the gamut. Like there was definitely things that are affordable. Like all of our meals were affordable, anything like that. But again, like we went to that tannery. So if you're trying to buy a leather jacket, it's not going to be like US prices, but there you will spend money if you want to, but by no means do you have to. Everything was super affordable, like food wise, coffee wise. And a lot of people didn't liked US money. And there was a lot of places to money exchange as well. And your CEO will be able to like barter for you too. So no, I wouldn't say that you'd need that much spending money beyond what you're doing when you're paying for the tour, because a lot you can see in here, I didn't touch on it that much, but the meals included breakfast and lunch. I mean, I'm like, when I tell you they gave you bread and dips and everything to start before you even had your meal, like you're full with two meals, I promise you.
Yeah. I mean, that was similar to Oaxaca. Like we had breakfast every day and it was like a humongous like buffet and just with really delicious made to order stuff too. And I'm like, I only really need to eat one more meal a day. I don't need to be eating three. So that's
Mhm.
always really handy.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a ton of optional activities on the last day. So do you recommend like staying longer in Marrakesh?
So I personally am someone who loves a spa treatment. So in Marrakesh, I actually went to hammam, which is like a Moroccan bathhouse, and I got like a massage and a scrub, and it was phenomenal. I didn't go rogue. My CEO like told me like a place that he is very familiar with. And again, like they're there to give you recommendations. You know you're going to the best place with like great reviews and things like that, and a
Mhm.
trustworthy place. So I loved that. I think if you want to stay in Marrakesh and like treat yourself, by all means, I do think there's a lot in Marrakesh that I would, want to stay and explore. So, I would love to just put an end cap of one more day just to truly like relax, unwind, and have that spa moment.
Love it. So if you
Hmm.
have any questions for Natalie, you can drop that in the chat. Peru. So first, I'll just say that my 4 days, 3 nights was, it can be purchased on its own, but then like if you're gonna go to Peru, you're gonna want to do a lot more stuff in Peru. You want to see a lot more. So here are a couple itineraries that offer kind of a more complete experience in Peru. And also, I'll just say, like, I don't have any plans yet to do the Inca Trail again. I might be convinced if I have a lot of people who want to go together. But for now, here are a couple itineraries that maybe if you really want to put Peru on your list to consider. So I'll just start with the first one. This is Nat Geographic, like we said earlier. This is one in partnership with G Adventures that is like a little bit more elevated and a little bit more comfortable. And so the price point kind of reflects that. The next one down is Inca Discovery. That's a classic itinerary. So it's a little bit shorter as well, but both of these ones include the Inca Trail hike. And then this last dot point is a deluxe itinerary, which is comfortable camping. And this is completely brand new. Deluxe is a totally new line that, and maybe Natalie, why don't you just describe it because you work there. So
The G-Lux
yeah,
program.
yeah.
Yes. So I am so excited about this because I am such an active person. So G-Lux is going to be the most elevated product that we're going to offer on our website. So nicest hotels, things like that. But it is a premium active line. So not all of the tours are going to be demanding. We always rank our tours light, medium, demanding. So they're not all going to be super extreme, but they're all going to have some level of activity. So just disclaimer for anybody who doesn't want that much movement on a tour, but these are so fun. It's the itineraries, they're
Really
like
special.
this one that you're doing the Inca Trail, but you're staying in more elevated accommodations, and there's always an OMG moment because we're G Adventures, so OMG.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at this and it looks like it has like more fancy camping, this one,
Mhm.
the Machu Picchu one, which with cots instead of just mattresses and maybe like something more comfortable and like you don't have to wake up as early and things like that. So that is an option. And I also just wanted, I have two asterisks there. There are select dates on sale in case anybody's interested. And then with the Deluxe, that one I can offer you $250 off if you book through me. So and that goes for any deluxe itinerary on the G Adventures website. So I'll just sort of give you some highlights on the Inca Trail part, those 4 days and 3 nights. And I have some pictures here. So here are our tents with our mattress pads and sleeping bags and each of our little cozy abodes during these 4 days. And what was amazing, like a few amazing moments about this trip is one, the porters. They are racing ahead. They're carrying pretty much everybody's stuff. You know, you carry your things in your day pack, but they're carrying pretty much everybody's stuff, setting it up for you, tearing it down for you. It's all you have to do is focus on the hike. You know, you just focus on putting one foot in front of the other and getting from point A to point B and really kind of being your best self in terms of the hike. So this was so handy, and we gotta give a hand to the porters. They also, another highlight was the cooking. So I have literally never in my life tasted camping food that was so good and just so elaborate. We had 3-course meals for like lunch and dinner. And I'm talking like first they come out with soup, they come out with like I think this is maybe chicken and salad and rice, so a complete whole balanced meal. And then we were having like cake every day, either for lunch or for dinner. So they were making cake. These guys make cake. So they don't have ovens, obviously. They are boiling water and they have a contraption that they put the cake in that cooks the cake by steam. They like the cooks were literally like making these, you know, Michelin's level camping. There needs to be a new category for Michelin, you know, because we definitely ate our full share of interesting meals all the time. And then, you know, you're challenging yourself. I think one of the questions I get is like, oh, but I don't really like to hike, or I'm not really good at altitude, or I'm not really blah, blah, blah. But anybody could do this. And I say that because there are people on our trip that basically said, I never trained. And like, I twisted my ankle 3 months ago. And, you know, like they just said, I want to do this. And it's about like mind over matter, one foot in front of the other. And, you know, we at the end of every day, it was like, okay, we're all going to pass out. And then at the end of the 4th day, when you come up on Machu Picchu and you see like the fog clearing and you just realize that I've hiked 45 kilometers and I haven't showered in 3 days, but I've done it. And I feel like so capable and accomplished with everything, you know, I can accomplish anything. And I think that was one of my big takeaways, is kind of coming back and being like, I can really do anything, you know, it's all in your mind. So this was incredible. Those were some special moments. I'll just show you a few more photos, and let's see if they will all load.
So I think a really cool thing beyond the cakes that they did, one of my coworkers, she just did the Inca Trail and she's a vegan, and they were totally able to handle her, you know, her dietary restrictions. And I mean, obviously being a vegan and like on a hike, like you need your protein and things like that. And she said like she had more than enough food, like that a lot of people were a little jealous of her meals. But like, yeah, they really went all out, and they'll do that for anything. So not just the Inca Trail, but anything you do with Julie and G Adventures, whether you're gluten-free, vegan, kosher, I mean, there's a little questionnaire that you just let us know that detail, and we will absolutely take care of that for any of the meals that are included on the tour.
Yes, that's an awesome point. We also had 2 vegans on my group, and half the time I was looking over at their food and like, that looks good. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Jealous of the vegan food. So here are amazing porters. Like literally they're carrying bags as big as themselves. So this was the first day. I think one of the things that I really noticed, or that just kind of surprised me, and you'll see it in the photos, is the way that the terrain changes, the way that the climate changes. You come from like a desert, sort of like, this was very sort of deserty looking, and then you see this like, you know, rivers and kind of like the fog, and then you get to this like jungle, and then it starts raining, and you know, it's like a completely different like elevations and climates and things that you're stepping through. You're also like stepping back in time. I was like looking down and thinking like, I'm walking where the Incas walked, you know, like you visit so many of these sites. It's not just like, okay, all this hike and then Machu Picchu. Along the way, there's like 10. You visit 10 different sites in varying levels of, um, completion or disarray or repair, but it's all so incredible. And then there's these like wild llamas running around, and you just feel like you're kind of in a movie or on a different planet kind of thing. And then the shortest day, but the day that culminates in everything, that you finally made it to Machu Picchu, just like the Incas did so many years ago. And after doing this, like I didn't have the Inca Trail really on my radar before going to Peru, but since I was in Peru, I was like, I should do this. And I'm so glad that I did, because it really was just like such a rewarding experience. And then, the Peruvian people are lovely, the food is lovely, and there's so much to see across Peru. So I would recommend it to anybody. And then I think the only, also in this blog, I've written about like packing, things that I packed or things that I bought and that I brought with me. But a couple things that I wish I had brought: more snacks, because you're burning tons of calories. And even though you eat a lot at lunch and dinner, there's that like in between, waking up at 5 in the morning and then you eat breakfast then, but then there's that big long span until you eat lunch. And I wish I had brought way more snacks, because I was basically like borrowing snacks from everybody. And then I wish I had bought a deck of cards, like super easy, super lightweight, but that would have been a fun ad to sort of like do play games with the groups and stuff. So I think the last thing that was really something that I struggled with for a long time when it came to packing. I didn't know if I should bring a puffy jacket or if I should just have more layers. And I'm so glad that I had all the layers, and then that I didn't bring a puffy jacket, because then I felt like that would have been too much. I had like a, vest and then mini layers. So that was a better move for me. And I also brought trail runners instead of heavy duty hiking boots. And I'm happy with, you don't see them here, but I'm happy with my trail runners, because you kind of have to make a choice whether you want to be a little bit more lightweight or whether you want to be a little heavier and more stable. And I wanted to be a little more agile. So that is kind of a personal choice, but I think a lot of people just don't even think about trail runners, because they are told they should wear something waterproof. And that also depends on the time of year, because it doesn't rain all the time. It rains in certain seasons. So those were two things that, I chewed on and that I spent a lot of time on. So any questions about Peru, or any questions, period, drop them in the chat. I'll just say that if you are interested in any of these, this is what I'll need from you guys: which one you're interested in, your full name as it appears in your passport, and your nationality, passport number, and expiration date. So I will collect your 350, but if you have to change, that is no problem, because G Adventures guarantees your deposit if you have to change or cancel before final payment. And a lot of people, this is like such a selling point to G Adventures, because sometimes plans change and, it sucks, but if they want to be as flexible as they can. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And then I'll just share one more thing with you guys. If you decide to book Morocco before the end of November, it's November, right? Yeah. Then I can take $50 off. So consider that kind of my gift to you guys to help finalize my group. And we've have a couple spots left, and I would love to have you if you would like to jump in and join me. So again, send me an email, and we will see each other in Morocco. And I think you guys know I'm a travel coach. I will just flag that I'm here if you have any other itineraries that you're interested in, other destinations you're interested in, and just say that I can help with finalizing those things. And I know I've worked with some of you before, and hopefully you appreciate those services. So definitely available to help. Okay, I think that's like basically the end. Question and answer. Okay. So there are some questions in the chat. Let's take a look. Shopping question about Oaxaca, the embroidered dresses. Yes, I do. We actually had, I did a little bit of shopping. So the question is finding a plus size easy to do? In Oaxaca, there's so many markets. Literally, there was like a dozen, one over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. Like they were all over the place with all different kinds of vendors, all different offerings, totally different dresses, sizes, tall, short, small, wide, everything. So there was somebody in our group who was looking for a bigger size as well. She found something and it didn't take too long. So I would not be too concerned about that. Like I struggle with that a little bit because Mexicans are typically very petite and I'm a tall person, but I think they're, since it's such a tourist destination, they have gotten used to sort of trying to support the spectrum. So I was like just so excited with all the clothes. Actually, I couldn't decide, and I ended up not buying anything. And I wish I wish I had done it differently. Okay, Celeste. So how do the payments work? Can we pay monthly? So basically what you do is you pay the $350 deposit to save your spot. And then you don't have to pay anything until final payment is due, which is 60 days out from the trip. So at this point, if you pay $350 for Morocco, you don't pay again until 60 days until 60 days before May 9th. That being said, if you want to just, get it over with, you can pay early. You can just say, I want to pay $500 now, or I want to pay $200 next month. You can do whatever you want, but the final payment for everything, for the rest of it, for the remainder, is not due till 60 days prior. So lots of flexibility with that. Oh, are there custom opportunities for dresses? I'm sure there are. There's so many vendors and they're so easy to work with you. Basically you walk into one of the shops and people are kind of like, oh, can I help you? What do you like? And I don't know how long it would take because I haven't inquired, but this is what they do. They're experts. There was actually a lady with a sewing machine working at the market. So I'm sure like the sky's the limit if you have specific clothing requests in Oaxaca. Yeah, so there's a question about the weather in Morocco. I don't know what it's going to be like in the winter, but I do know that April, May is a really good time of year because it's not too hot yet. So that is specifically when I plan my trip for, because I don't like it too hot.
Yeah, I went in June to Morocco and it was like I went early June and it was like the very end of like the cool season. Like we had some really perfect days and then we had some days where it was a little hot. But a lot of the hotels we stayed at had pools. So there was a moment that we could just like jump in and forget like we were hot. I mean, it's hot in the Sahara Desert. There's no way around it. But yeah, there's definitely options to get cool. I'll take this Morocco question about the leather jackets. Again, I mean, it really depends. There's the whole gamut. So if you wanted something custom, and you wanted a lot of embellishments, you could definitely pay upwards of $100. If you wanted something a little bit more, standard or off the rack, just like you saw something in a booth, you could definitely get affordable pieces. It really just depends. They also like your CEO will haggle for you. So may the odds be in your favor.
Okay, I'll answer this other one. What's the age range for Morocco? So there's no age range. On my trips, there has really been anywhere from people like typically in the 30s up until like 60. I think age is an attitude and we're all like women in it together. I mean, there's not going to be any teenagers. I'm sure there's not going to be, not that I'm like dismissing, and not that I won't allow them, but there's probably not going to be any 20-year-olds. It's going to be probably women in their 30s and up who have, the little bit of the means to do this and are interested in doing this. And we have like the life experience. So there's probably a lot to kind of relate to. And again, age is kind of an attitude. So, and are we sharing rooms in Morocco? So the price point that you see for 21.49, that is shared with another woman. And so if you want your own room, that is possible. The price for your own room is 2,848, and actually you can knock off $50, maybe 49. I don't know if I did the math right, but you can knock off somewhere around that for the sale until the end of November for the single room. So yeah, there's always an option to get your own room if you kind of like get it in time, because there's only so many, I think, to go around. But at this point, since we're still, more than 6 months, almost 6 months out, then plenty of time to, put dibs on your own room. Well, we're at time, and I don't really see any more questions. Oh, one more. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so
Yay.
I'm so glad you guys joined. Please, like, my email address is on there, julie@travelbta.com. You can email me. I think also I have another one, julie@juliebrose.com. Email me if you come up with any other questions, if you're interested in joining. Would love to have you. Final question, what's the max number of people? Well, so we will have a maximum of 16, but it'll probably be somewhere between 10, around 10 to 16. So we won't go any more than 16, but the group will probably be closer to 10 to 12. So we will just see how it shakes out. And I hope to see you guys in Morocco and Oaxaca and Peru. Adios, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.